What is going on, Sports Game Vision world? Back in the pod with the No Face Sports Show. You are now tuned into the sounds of the No Face Sports Show. The host, Hank, is in the building. And as you can see, we are talking about respect and wild NBA predictions. Now, you can see from the graph a little bit about what's going on. The whole saga with Anton Daniels and Corey Holcomb. We got a little bit of Rich Paul and LeBron, and we'll talk a little bit about that wild NBA prediction at the end here. But first off, hope you have a great day. You're having a lot of fun out there. Wherever you're at, it's probably a little cool, but either way, warm up, get you some hot beverage, and we're gonna talk some sports here. And this one is not necessarily about sports. Um, the internet went ablaze with the whole crazy interaction between Anton Daniels and Corey Holcomb. Now, it was a podcast on the 5150 show, and it's a pretty big podcast, very big community. Corey Holcomb, obviously a huge comedian, and Anton Daniels, who has blown up on these YouTube streets, social media wise. And on YouTube, I'm sure I believe he's over 1 million there, and I'm sure the other platforms are doing well as well. And he's a businessman and a content creator. And of course, we know Corey Holcomb, a comedian, entertainer, podcaster himself, creator. They had a big eruption at the show. They were about to throw those hands, as we would say. I would just say this: we don't want to see that. I'm a fan of both of them. Obviously, Corey a lot longer because he's been around for a while. Great comedian. He makes me laugh, at least. And as far as his speaking, he's great on the mic and can keep a conversation going. Anton Daniels the same way. They're on two different sides of the track and of thoughts and opinion. And that's what I want to talk about here. Look, all of us have different viewpoints, but the main thing is to have respect. We should have respect for each other. We shouldn't disrespect each other. Just have to bring the right thought pattern and conversation to the table. Bring your facts, bring your talking points, and we should be able to have a great discourse between most individuals or a group. We should be able to talk through things. You can learn that way. Having the same outlook isn't always great either. You can't grow that way. You have to be able to have other outlooks. But again, you can hold your position, but everything can be respectful. And that's the reason why I'm talking about this today. I hated to see that. It could have went really bad. Couldn't see the inside of the rest of the set. I heard that there was security there, but it could have got real bad. And then, of course, both of those guys would have had legal trouble and lawsuits going everywhere. Whatever would have happened, it would have been crazy. But even in the sports community, and that's the main reason I'm talking about this whole topic, is that you can talk about sports in general, basketball, football, baseball, wrestling, and you don't have to disrespect each other. Just bring your thoughts, your facts, and your talking points, and you can debate respectfully. It doesn't have to be where you're trying to talk over somebody or take shots at the person's personality or just being disrespectful, period. Calling them out their name. You should be able to have a great conversation without doing all that. And in the end of the day, the content will be there. But this almost seemed like it was maybe bound to erupt anyway. Would have loved to have seen Craig on there, Craig Smith, Craig Facts. He came on live and talked about the situation, and it seems like him and Anton probably would have had a better conversation. But again, guys, to me, it's all about respect. Just don't cross the line either way on either side, and you can just have a conversation. You don't have to necessarily agree, but have a great discourse. And it should have went better than what it went. But that's my thoughts on it. I just think in the NBA, basketball, football community, we've seen disrespect between some of the media outlets, even the new media, where people take shots at each other personally when they don't have to do that. Just talk about the topic, talk about the facts of the situation, and give your opinion, but it doesn't have to be disrespectful. That's my thoughts and opinion on that. Let me know what you think in the comment section about it. Viral moment that didn't need to be viral in this way. But as we move on from this conversation, we will go on to the next topic here. And as you see, I was already put that in the picture here. And let's pull it up. We're talking about transitioning off to the clutch sports situation that happened this week as well. And our guy, Rich Paul. Yes, yes, yes. He made some comments on his podcast, which he has with Max Kellerman. He brought up a trade scenario. What is it? AR 15 about getting traded to the Memphis Grizzlies. Sorry, yeah, it's the Memphis Grizzlies for Triple J. And it's a crazy situation in him doing that because of how powerful Rich Paul is. He is one of the biggest agents in America, the Clutch Sport Agency, and we'll pull that up right now. And he represents a lot of clients. And the thing about him, like, I can bring up a scenario myself on this podcast. It's not going to hurt anybody. It's maybe some feelings if I said something crazy. But with Rich Paul, if he brings it up, he can affect people's money and their trade value, all of that. That's because of how powerful he is in the industry. He's not a regular person. So he can say what he wants. Obviously grown, has his own opinion, but being the fact that he is the top agent, and of course, as we bring this person up, having the most powerful client in the game, it changes things for people. If he says anything, it could sway people's opinions in the back offices, people that make decisions, and even in the media, it can change things. And he has to be very careful with doing that. Now, obviously, it seems like it may have been either it was by mistake or it could have been purposely done to set some things up. But yeah, I mean, with AR getting his big bag coming up, it doesn't look good when you throw another player under the bus and in that fashion, because if it was his player, he would definitely be upset. If it was LeBron or any of the other players that he represents, I'm not sure if he represents Triple J or not, but yet even with throwing him in the scenario, he may not want to be thrown in that scenario, him and his agency and his representation. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what the angle is. It does seem like the bronze people are all getting podcasts and they're separating and getting different businesses. We know the end is coming pretty soon. Maybe they're obviously setting up for the future of everything, but I just don't think you should affect people's pockets. They complain about media people like Stephen A. Smith or at the top of his game, you know, his anybody else in the media has big positions. They complain about them bringing up, you know, bad traits in players and talking about their money because it affects their contracts. So for him to do it is kind of weird. We'll see if it was a mistake or not. He's obviously going to continue to do the podcast with Max, who's a great at this podcast, at the podcasting space, whatever you want to call it, media space. But I definitely think he has to not do that. Don't hurt other people's money because you wouldn't want anybody to do that to your clients. But what do you think about it? I thought it was very, very crazy that happened. Questionable, very, very questionable that happened this week. And he got, you know, the agent for AR, Austin Reeves, came to him, had a conversation about it, didn't like it. So, you know, definitely going to be backlash. And another thing is Rich might be trying to change the space up and, you know, change the culture up. He changed the culture in the agency world. So maybe he's trying to do it as far as further pushing your voice outside of behind the scenes, which again, he can affect money behind the scenes, but doing it publicly is even more drastic and is not right for, you know, for that to happen. But let me know what you think in the conversation conversation about this in the comment section. And we're going to move on to the last segment. I didn't want to keep you guys long today. It's a Friday. We got a lot of things going on. Uh, you know, SmackDown is going to come on a little bit later. And of course, it's a great sports day on Fridays. Always a great sports day. But I'm going to give my wild NBA prediction and who I think is going to make the finals this year. And for some of you, you may not think it is, but for the most part, a lot of people may not be thinking this way. For me, who I think is going to get to the NBA finals on the East, in the Eastern Conference, you know what I'm going to do. Them Detroit Pistons, my hometown. I think they got the greatest shot to make it this year. Young roster, made it to the playoffs already. And I just think they want it. They have everything they need, really. I don't believe they need to make a trade. And if they do make one, it's going to be for minor stuff. And of course, if it's a major step, has to be the right person that'll come in and be sort of like your Rasheed Wallace was in 2004 or Mark Aguirre in, 89. A lot of y'all don't remember that. There was another trade that happened that, pushed the Pistons to the championship. But that's for me and my squad. Obviously a homer, and I'm rooting for them. But that's my wild prediction on the East. What do I think is going to happen on the West? Obviously, you got to beat the champ, right? So everyone's going to say OKC, and I'm going to say you got to beat them. But this is my wild prediction on the West. I think the Spurs are going to go to the NBA Finals. Wemby stays healthy. They have great talent, and they can play against anybody. They've got veterans on the squad with my guy Harrison Barnes, and they've even got De'Aaron Fox, who has made the playoffs before. But I do think that those two veterans playing in the league can help push them further, and they're doing well right now. They're number 2 in the West, so they definitely bring a challenge to any team in the West, including the OKC Thunder. I just think they have a great shot at getting to the finals this year, especially with these young players on the team, Vassell, and of course our guy Wemby going crazy. I think they can get to the finals. But what do you think? Do you think my picks are crazy? The Pistons and the Spurs in a rematch of the 2005 finals? That would be awesome. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Give me your picks. And honestly, that's all I got for this week for the No Face Sports Show. I will be back dropping more, but of course, we're staying consistent in this pod. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Check out all the other videos that are on there. Of course, we talked about respect each other and your opinions and views, and let's have a great conversation. And of course, is speaking out on other players right if you're an agent. So let me know in the comment section about everything, and I'll holler at you again. Peace.